So it's all to play for still.
I think so. Do you want to bet against us?
Hello, Villa fans, and welcome to For the Love of Paul McGrath podcast. As my mouse just stops working at a very inopportune time, Aston Villa 1, Middlesbrough 0 in the FA Cup. No replay, and we march on to the fourth round, stopping a run that would have been, I think they said, the worst of any that no team from the top two leagues in England would have ever lost as many consecutive games in the third round of the FA Cup. But we didn't, and we won 1-0, and we got out of it unscathed, no injuries, and couldn't give a shiny shite about anything else afterwards, to be really honest with you. Performance wasn't great, and look, that's fine. We can talk about that, but there's no one. I don't think tonight is a night for banging the table and hopping up and down. If you did a poll before the game, you're probably talking 40% of the fan base said competition's a lot of shite, don't bother with it, and 60% said, go as far as you can in it. And realistically, in cup football, you only want wins. You don't care how you get them. And look, we got our 1-0 win today from a crazy double deflection, pinball, screwball, scramble kind of a situation. But I'm going to go to my grave with saying the phrase, if you don't shoot, you don't score. And I think Aston Villa made that game an awful lot harder than they needed to, because of the slow play that they enforced upon themselves. Not that Middlesbrough enforced in them in some instances. Now, Middlesbrough did do a good job of guarding the middle of the field, absolutely. But there were times that Villa had opportunities to pull the trigger, definitely in the second half and towards the end of the first half as well, and we just didn't do it. And I thought we made that game a small bit harder on ourselves than we needed to. But we got out of it unscathed. Like, the worst thing that could have happened there is that we draw 0-0, have a replay, and have two injuries. And that, to me, I would have been a different man in this in this post match podcast if that was the stage. But I suppose throughout the game, I was I never really felt that Villa were going to let it slip. I thought the worst thing that would have happened would have been a draw. And as I say, we get injuries, but we didn't get either of those. And we got our win, bad and all as it was. Lots of teams have struggled this week. Spurs struggled in their game. Look, I can't even remember some of the other games, to be honest with you, but teams have struggled this week. I'm not going to put too much mass in the performance. What I will say is that I got a couple of DMs during and a couple of messages on Twitter, and thanks so much everybody who messages and looks for my opinion and stuff like that. I really appreciate that. Specifically since I'm only a guy sitting here in Ireland and watching it as much as the same as everybody else, and my opinion doesn't mean any more than anybody else's, as always. And as I say, I will never tell anybody how to be a fan. I'll disagree with people, but I will never tell them how to be a fan. Like, I'll rarely tell somebody that you're wrong. Put it that way. I'll tell you I don't agree with your opinion, but I'll tell you you're wrong. Anyway, don't know why I went into that one. But I got a couple of people who were messaging me saying, should we be concerned about... and I responded back to them individually. So this isn't me just calling them out in the podcast, but I should be concerned about the form of Villa's form at the moment. And personally, I don't agree that we should be concerned. I don't think that it is a concern, our form at the moment. I think that when you look at what Aston Villa are and where we are, we're hitting all our markers at the moment. And it's not always going to be Man City performances. And I'm okay with that. I suppose the biggest thing that I always go to is just a few short months ago, when we look back to less than, 16 months ago, we were struggling to score in consecutive games. We went on a big, long run of games with the majority of these players where we didn't score goals under Steven Gerrard. And now we're second in the league, joint top, whatever you want to put it. We're progressing in Europe. We've progressed in the FA Cup. The performances haven't been gold star you know, absolutely out of this world or anything like that. And we have areas we need to improve. I'm not that naive that I know that if this recruitment team think that we don't need another striker option, I'd be very surprised if they didn't think we need another strike option. Whether we get another one in or not, I don't know. But I'm not too concerned about the way we're playing because it was never always going to be, all the way up there. We were always going to be a team that fluctuates, but we're getting the results when we're fluctuating, and people might call it lucky as well. But we were the team exerting all the pressure today. We were the team that were taking control of this game, and we should have done that. And I completely understand that we should have done that because we are the team in the higher league. We were the team that had the better players out on the field today, so we should have been doing that. And it was, look, the goal that we got was fortuitous. But as I say, a lot of the time, if you we don't shoot enough. John Duran had 2 shots and he forced 2 brilliant saves out of the goalkeeper. Nicola Zaniolo had one that fizzed past the post. Diaby fresh airs in the middle in the box from 12 yards out. Ezri Konsa hits the post. They're just off the top of my head some of the chances that we had. So we couldn't convert, but we had opportunities to have more chances, if that makes sense. And that's the thing that I think that in the debrief after this, that Unai Emery will talk more and more about. But look, it's mission accomplished. It's a win. I thought we were pretty comfortable throughout. Yes, look, Middlesbrough did get on the ball. Coburn looked lively for a 21-year-old. Big guy there. He missed a chance to fizz across the box. He could have thrown footed it, but he didn't. It went across the box. I think it was Bangura crossed it in the first half. They had Emi Martinez made a good save in the first half as well. But, there were the 1 or 2 half chances then on the breaks, but I thought Villa were in control of this game. I thought we were too slow in possession, which is something that I felt. So when I go back to the question being asked of have we been poor in the last 6 games, I don't think we've been poor, but I do think we've been slow in possession. Specifically, I thought we were slow in possession against Burnley, thought we were slow in possession against Sheffield United. Consequently, obviously, the teams that are coming to park and defend against us, and that's not anything that's new for this Aston Villa team. But in those games, we found a way not to lose them. Albeit that we didn't win against Sheffield United, we've won today against that low block or that tight midfield situation that we had. Same against Burnley, and we drew against Sheffield United, coming back with a goal in the 97th minute. So all in all, it's not drastic or anything like that. I would like to see some additions, as I mentioned previously. I thought Matty Cash, who did score the goal today, he took the shot. As I say, if you don't shoot, you don't score. Still a bit disappointed in him in some instances. I think that it's not that he's regressed or anything, but since Unai Emery's come in, he's looked for the right backs to do something a bit different. And outside of a couple of performances, he seems like he falls between 2 stools when he's playing in that right back position. And I'd be hopeful that maybe he gets a run of games to try and get back up to speed again with it. I thought most players today were a bit slow. I think most players were a bit slow today. And I was interested, and I'd be interested to get your opinions on it, because I look at the comments in a moment. There seemed to be eyes wide open with regards to the 4 substitutions at one go. It didn't. I didn't even think about it until I looked at Twitter maybe about 2 minutes later, and I saw it. It didn't cross me as being surprising at all, considering that you probably wanted to manage game time for certain players anyway. So, you might as well make 4 substitutions in one go. Specifically, I suppose, I can't remember when they came on. Was it the 65th minute or something like that? I'll just check it up here. But to me, it wasn't very surprising, and it wasn't anything like whereby it was an admission of people playing poorly. I just thought it looked like a pre-prescribed substitution, considering Bailey saw the board went up, and when the board went up, Bailey went straight over to the sideline. He knew he was coming off, and it looked like 1 or 2 others knew they were coming off as well. So for me, I think the four substitutions in a row was probably pre-prescribed in around the 70th minute there. let's let's have a little look here and see some of the comments. If you ever want the case of why VAR should stay, it's this game. Clear penalty which would have been given in the Premier games. Yeah, look, I'm not going to spend too much time talking about VAR, about referees and stuff. I'll leave that to my to Paddy, who won't be on today. But I will say about Rob Jones, though, that just like he didn't do himself any favors today. I think he'll think that he's refed everything to the letter of the law, but he's missed that clear penalty because and Paddy actually texts me. I think he makes a good point on this. Is that Premier League referees rely on VAR now, so they won't make decisions like that for in situations there. Now I don't know what his viewpoint was of it or whatever, but like some of the yellow cards, yellow card for Longley, like we had 3 yellow cards for dissent today. I thought probably the only one really that struck me as probably a yellow card for dissent was Leon Bailey. Now, granted, I didn't see what Kanza did, so maybe I'm wrong on that one. But look, I just found it a kind of a performance that was from the referee that was very much a case of I don't really want to call it hometown performance or whatever, but I just find him a small bit irritating. That's the way I'll put it. Find him a small bit irritating. But yeah, let's not dwell on that one too much. British Mick says, don't know how to feel about that. Great character shown by our lads, but denied a Stonewall penalty via no VAR, which is mad. And multiple bookings trying to penetrate 11 players in their own box. Yeah, they parked the bus and they did it really well. And I think the halftime, I much preferred the halftime analysis than I did the in-game analysis. Dion Dublin, love you, but I found like there was times there where I didn't understand what you were saying because you were talking so low and you were off on tangents and stuff like that. But love you, Dion. Love to chat to you. And you're absolute brilliant beacon of positivity, I suppose, really. And but yeah, I found it difficult to concentrate at times on what the commentary was saying in game. But I thought at halftime, I thought Stuart Downing did a good job of identifying, I suppose, just that box midfield that the Middlesbrough were playing with Coburn up at the top, trying to flood the internal areas, and Villa weren't getting it wide quick enough. One thing I will say is I thought Jacob Ramsey was pretty good today. I thought that was one of his a more Jacob Ramsey like performance than I've seen from him since he's come back from injury. Albeit I think that he was one of the players, I would say, that at times slowed the ball down. I think he looked a bit more composed on the ball. And one or two situations when he burst at the box, I would like to see him at least start trying to maybe manipulate the ball. If it's not crossing it with his left foot, manipulating it and so on, because I think at times when he drives it at fullbacks, they really want to keep him on one foot over the other. So, obviously and here's me just give my tuppence worth to a Premier League footballer. But there was one or two instances today whereby they knew that he wasn't going to cut back on the other foot, and they just shepherded him towards the end line and just blocked the ball or blocked the crosses that came across, which was fine because we got a ton of corners today. I think it was over 12 if I'm not mistaken. Some of them worked and some of them were worked for shots that John McGinn shot in the first half from the edge of the area. I think it was the first half, and then obviously Ezri Konsa's I think that came from a corner. Ezri Konsa's header that hits the butt of the post and comes out as well. But yeah, I look, as I say, we found it difficult to break them down today. But I think a lot of the reasons we find it difficult to break these teams down is because we go wide too slow, and then trying to get it back inside, then we get bogged down, and obviously we're not shooting enough. We're not taking enough pot shots, I think. And being realistic, I didn't think I would say that 18 months ago about this team, because I was giving out, I think, at times of Coutinho taking too many pot shots, wild shots from everywhere. But yeah, it's going to be swings and roundabouts with this team not being the finished article yet, and trying to break down breakdown teams that come and sit in the middle of the field as well. Paul O'Neill says relief. It could have been better, but we got the win. Michael Carrick is a top manager and knows how to organise his teams. Ref was ridiculous, but thankfully onto the fourth round. Yeah, Michael Carrick, big. I must give him some respect as well today. And as I said, I think I said it in the preview. Carrick is a good manager. They've got a really good setup there with Carrick, Jonathan Woodgate, Aaron Danks. Like, they weren't coming into this game not knowing what some of our players were able to do or what our game plan might have been. Like, Aaron Danks is now with them, so they have at least got a massive dossier and the good, bad and the ugly of our players, albeit we should still be able to outfox that, but still, they did have a kind of a head start from that point of view. And Michael Carrick is a good manager. I've always liked Carrick, liked him as a player, and as a manager, he just comes across as a guy who loves football. And as I said, with regards to even like seeing Jonathan Woodgate there on the bench for them, like my opinion, I said this in the preview, my opinion of Jonathan Woodgate 20 years ago was a hell of a lot different to my opinion of Jonathan Woodgate now. And to see his love for that club of Middlesbrough, being a manager there previously, a player there previously, and now, not being too much of a Billy Big Balls to turn around and say, yeah, listen, I'll be your assistant. If you want me to be your assistant, I'll be it. Anything that helps this club. I find that really endearing and from a footballing sense. So yeah, fair play to Michael Carrick and his group there as well. They look a really organised team, and they're a young team as well. And some of those players like Rodgers and like Jones and Coburn, as I said, they were the three guys I think I picked out at the start of the game. They're nice players, and they were the guys who caused us a bit of difficulty today when they did. And as Rachel says here, we made hard work of it, but got it done in the end. Yeah, I don't think any player on that starting 11 or any of the 15 players that played today, I don't think any of them will come off the field and go, yeah, you know what, that's one I need to be proud. That's one that I'll remember now for the rest of my life. Obviously, that's not what's going to happen. Maybe Matty Cash does for the pinball goal that he scored, but I think all the players will have. I think they'll have the same sentiment that you have there, Rachel. It was hard work, but they got it done and just on to the next one. And I'm okay with that attitude with regards to this game. I'm okay with it as well. Where else are we? I'm looking at your comments here as well. Mike Warrenbold said Diaby had a quick impact and he looked sharp. I thought Diaby excuse me, Diaby upped the tempo of our attack, but I haven't said this previously, but he looked today like a fellow who was a small bit gun shy from the point of view of pulling the trigger, with taking shots and so on. Once at the edge of the area, the ball came across him and he kind of dummied a shot and passed it out towards, I'd say it was Alex Moreno again. And I was thinking, that's a situation here whereby if you get the ball on your left foot, you have your pot shot, but he looked like he was a bit shy in that instance. Then obviously the one that comes across the box to him, he doesn't make great contact with it as well. He scored a goal recently, obviously, but I think he's a player that has obviously came into the Premier League, was a bit of an unknown quantity from the point of view of not playing in the Premier League before. Obviously, he would have been known from his prowess at Leverkusen and obviously with the French national team. But I think that kind of that plateau period has come a bit quicker for him, which a lot of players that come into the league do get. And I've no doubt in my mind that he's going to get over that plateau period again. Once again, I think run of games for him mightn't do him too bad, but you can't take Bailey out at the moment because Bailey's playing so well, albeit I felt today that he did all right, he did enough. But when he, it was a game that he clearly knew he was coming off at 70 minutes, and that's fine too. We just couldn't get the ball in the back of the net before we took those players off. Standing on the word says, not the best performance, to be honest. We shouldn't need luck, but we won and no injuries. Don't care. We move on. However, we got to work on breaking down the low block. I think too much. I'm going to be honest. Phraseology, like obviously, how am I going to word this? I suppose we're going to find a situation where people are going to get fixated on low block, just like we did at the start of the season. And this isn't anything to do with you standing on the word. Absolutely not. It's just, at the start of the season, people were fixated on the high line being an issue. High line's an issue. Everything was high line, high line, high line, high line. Since we've played Sheffield United, probably since we've played Mostart, to be honest, which I'd say, people have been talking about we struggled with the low block. And while it's true that we struggle with teams that come to defend, I don't want the phrase, but use whatever phrase you want. I don't really mind. But for me, I think the phrase low block gets overused. Is exactly, that's a long-winded way of saying. I think that the phrase low block gets overused. I think that Middlesbrough were a lot better than the low block today. They did a lot more than just a low block today, because there were they had their lines, up through the field, and even as far as Coburn, I thought that they were resolute. What they really did was just push us wide, and we didn't go there fast enough. We didn't go fast enough when we got wide, and we kind of contributed to that. But I understand exactly what you mean. Teams that park, I suppose, at various levels, they're the ones that we need to break down. And I've seen a lot of people talk about Buendia, wanting Buendia back and so on, and a proper number 10, and I can't disagree with that because I've spoken about it before. But we do need to manage those teams for sure. We do need to manage those teams. Absolutely, 100% do need, and I do agree with you on that, standing on the word. Absolutely. Where else are we? Oh, a couple of new members. Thank you so much. Thanks to Justy Rye, Justy RY, or Justy Rye, I'm going to call you. And thanks to Moorman 2104. Also, Gareth Thomas, thank you so much for that. Stonewall penalty was obvious all the way from Dubai. Needed someone with more urgency in the ball out wide to get the ball out wide quicker. Duran isn't good enough as backup to Watkins. I thought I liked. Look, I'm not going to sit here and say we need to shoot more and then say John Duran wasn't very good. He took two very shots the goalkeeper really needed to save. So I enjoyed that. What I felt about John Duran today was specifically actually for the first one where he took that shot from wide and Glover had to get down and save it and put it out for a corner. He made the complete and utter wrong run at the start. The run he made there was the incorrect run. He didn't stay central, and I can't remember who had the ball and was running with it. Probably was Ramsey, I would imagine. I can't remember who it was. They looked like they were the one who was going to take it wide, or if anybody was going to, and then they had to check their run when Duran went wide. Now, look, it's not the be all and end all with regards to that, but he's obviously a player that's still learning, and he hasn't a ton of minutes under his belt either in the Premier League or in English football, so he's going to be learning in instances like that. But I would like to see another attacker come into the fold, and I think that there will be one. I think that there will be another attacker. Who? I don't know. I don't know whether we get the 23, 24-year-old they can come in and do a job from that point of view. Or I don't know whether we get that 30-year-old or that 28, 29, 30-year-old plus warhorse that comes in. Like I've been saying, Unai Emery is going to bring in at some stage, and I don't know if I'm ever going to be right in it, but it always just feels like that Unai Emery wants a player up top like that. And we'll see. We will see. We were linked obviously with Timo Werner, which isn't happening now because he's on his way to Spurs. Just watch him work out at Spurs. But we'll see what the transfer window brings from that point of view. I'm just going to scroll down a couple of bits here, guys. Actually, can someone pop in the comments for a moment? Just this is something I meant to ask in the team sheet tantrum. Paulo Dybala. Talk to me about Paulo Dybala. Where has that link come from? Have we ever actually been linked with him? Or is it just Emi Martinez spoke about him and Emi Martinez's wife is friends with his wife or something like that? Have we ever actually been linked with him? I would love him. Don't get me wrong. You'd be absolutely stonewall mad not to love him at Aston Villa. And he would, injuries aside, imagine having him out there today or having him bring him on in situations. He unlocks that situation for you because he's a complete another live wire. But have we ever actually really been linked with him properly? I just want to know that because I know he's got that release clause. I think everybody in the world knows about that release clause at the moment. But it's just interesting because if there was an opportunity for that this year, you'd be absolutely bonkers not to take it up. if himself and Emmy are that close and he wants to come and Villa are actually interested, you'd be absolutely stonewall mad not to take up that offer. I just wanted to know if anyone had actually seen anything concrete on it or whether it was just a machination from the internet. I don't know. Let's just see here. Boom, boom, boom. Where else are we? I just scrolled down a small bit there. Boom, boom, boom. Yeah, CC here says on a plus, it was good to see Ramsey growing into the game. He's getting his touch and pace back. I thought so too. I thought definitely his touch and his awareness and kind of his ability to feel the press was back. Pace maybe is still getting up to the pace of the game with regards to the counter attack. But yeah, I've no complaints about Jacob Ramsey today. Richie Ryan says, listening to Emery's press conference, don't know if there'll be many additions in January. I don't think Emery was going to ever say anything other than what he said in the press conference. I think he's always going to say stuff like that because I don't think he's concerned with it. I don't think it's his favorite thing to do. Like, he doesn't. I don't think he likes transfer windows. Like, it's not that he doesn't like transfer windows, but I don't think he lives for transfer windows. I think he lives for coaching. And that's why he wanted the likes of Monchi to come in, people that he knows. Listen, you know how I like to work. I know who you like to work. Let me get my tactics board out, and you give me fellas who fit into my tactics. I'm not buying what Unai. No, we may very well end up with no signings this window. I'd be surprised if it was the case, but I don't think it's a case that Unai Emery doesn't want signings. If that makes sense. Where else are we here? I'm just going to scroll down there. Apologies, lads. Thanks so much for all your comments. I really can't read them all, and I'm scrolling through a couple of them. So I do apologize if I've missed anything. If anybody has asked me a question directly, I will try and get back to you later. Sorry. I'm after losing stuff there. I'm after losing the Dybala stuff there. Yeah, Gary Howlett talks about Firmino. I saw Firmino linked with Fulham. By the way, as well, can I just say this as well? If I remember rightly, I was never really convinced by this, and I'm not doing a victory lap because it's way too early to do that yet. But the Saudi League just looks like it's not going to take off, really, doesn't it? Kind of does. I was never convinced by it at the time, and I thought it was just a money laundering exercise, essentially, to be honest with you. But at the same time, if they do come in for any of our players, I'll take that broken ATM machine. Any of the players that are, that we're willing to let go, I'll take that broken ATM machine and take the free money it's given as well. But there's been a couple of players that have gone there recently that now want to get out of there after less than 6 months, like Firmino, like Jordan Henderson, and there's been a couple of more other players that are looking to maybe hightail their way back into Europe's top 5 leagues again. So all that glitters isn't gold with the Saudi side of things. But as Gary says there about Firmino, look, you'd be mad once again not to take Firmino, wouldn't you, in the situation we're in? Yes, he's had his injury issues, but you just see it at the end of the season last year for Liverpool. He had some really good games. He came back into it and he looked like the player he was before he got injured. So you'd be mad not to take him. And he kind of is that support striker we're looking for, albeit he's 32 years of age, I think, 31, 32 years of age. If there was an option to bring him in, you'd have to explore it, I think. I think you would have to, because he's a quality player. Like we want quality players. We want quality players at the club, for sure. We have quality players, but we want more quality players, should I say, for sure. Or else, yeah, I think a couple of people with regards to Dybala is are saying that we haven't really been linked. It was just his wife asked Demi to sign Dybala on a podcast. That's what I thought it was. That's what I thought it was as well. I wasn't sure, because I wasn't sure if I'd missed something on the Dybala side of things. Getting back to the game tonight. Yeah, look, I suppose I'm going to finish up actually on this, because half an hour is probably more time than this game deserved, because it wasn't a game full of a lot of intrigue. The first half was pretty boring, and we got out of jail in the second half. But what I will say is that I was really excited about the game. The game didn't catch fire like I wanted it to. Villa didn't catch fire like I wanted it to. But as I said at the very start, a 1-0 win and no injuries, and you live to fight another day in another competition, is really beneficial for us. As I said, about 40% of the fan base didn't probably. Well, maybe 40% is a bit of an exaggeration, but a substantial number of the fan base just didn't want an extra competition. They wanted two fronts to fight on, and I understand that with our squad. But the FA Cup has got something special about it, and we may not go on and win it, but it's we're into the next round, or we're into the hat for the fourth round, and we'll see what comes of it. Because we may not win the Conference League either, and guess what? We may not finish in the top 4 positions within the Premier League either. So with every competition, there's always let's not focus on that, let's focus on this. But nothing is ever guaranteed, I suppose, as well. But obviously, I can agree, and there's nobody here that won't agree, I would imagine. I could be mistaken, so I'll just speak for myself, I suppose, on this one. But I can agree with people who maybe didn't want the third competition because of our squad, and the fact that we don't have the biggest squad in the world. But maybe 2 or 3 additions this transfer window boosts our squad. And maybe if the likes of Callum Chambers, Bertrand Traore is going to be gone to the AFCON, those players that aren't really getting an awful lot of minutes, and yes, while they're in the squad, aren't really viable options for us at the moment. Maybe if they're replaced by people who can be viable options, maybe that does change where our trajectory goes amongst 2 or 3 competitions, if that is the case. But we are in the 4th round now, and it's nice to be there, because we would have set an absolutely chronic record based on what they said on commentary today. We would have been the only team to have not won in however many years it has been that we haven't won in the 3rd round. So that monkey is off our back, and we're onwards to the next round. Going to leave it at that, everybody. Thank you so much to everybody for joining us today. I'll probably catch Paddy maybe tomorrow or maybe Monday and just get his thoughts on that. Reason being is because I'm sure I kind of want to wind him up and let him off with regards to Rob Jones, because most of the time I'm kind of agnostic towards referees, but I just found him very irritating today. I don't know what it is, but if you guys are interested in hearing Paddy's thoughts in the game, probably come back with that in the next couple of days. Obviously, with any transfer stuff, I'll come and I will chat to you on that and give you my thoughts on it. But yeah, look, we live to fight another day. We've got no injuries that we know about, and we're into the 4th round. So overall, the performance wasn't there, but the result and the sentiment and everything afterwards should be very, very positive for this team, who have given us such a brilliant 2023, and we've started off 2024 really well as well. So thanks so much, everybody, for watching and for listening. Really appreciate your time. Stay safe, stay healthy, and all that's left to say is up the Villa.